Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, wondering what the future holds? Questions like, what if I fail? Or what if things don't go as planned? Might keep circling in your mind. Do you ever feel like the more you try to control what's coming, the more uncertain it seems? These thoughts are natural, but have you ever paused to ask yourself, are they even helping? Imagine this. You're carrying a backpack filled with stones, each stone representing a worry about the future. The longer you carry it, the heavier it feels. But what if someone told you that you didn't have to carry that weight at all, that you could put it down and still walk forward freely? Welcome to Wisdom Woven. This channel is here to guide you through life's challenges with wisdom rooted in Buddhist teachings. Before we dive in, here's a gentle reminder. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of viewers subscribe. So, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. It helps us grow and bring you more insightful content. Now, let's explore the roots of why we worry so much about the future. Worrying is like trying to predict the weather months in advance. No matter how much you prepare, life often surprises you with something different. This habit of overthinking comes from our natural fear of uncertainty. We crave control, yet life's beauty lies in its unpredictability. Buddhism teaches us that worrying about the future stems from attachment to outcomes, desires, and our need for certainty. When we understand that life is constantly changing, we can begin to let go of the fear tied to what hasn't even happened yet. The present moment holds the answers we seek, but we often miss it by living in our heads instead of our hearts. So, stay tuned as we uncover practical ways to free yourself from the burden of future worries. Remember, every step forward is a chance to grow, even if you don't know what's around the corner. Understanding the nature of uncertainty. In the vastness of life, uncertainty is like the wind. It cannot be seen, but it is always felt. The winds of uncertainty touch everything around us. Our relationships, our jobs, our health, and even the paths we choose. We all know this feeling deep down. When things feel unclear, when we don't know what's next, and when the future seems uncertain. Yet, it's in this uncertainty that we find one of life's greatest truths, that nothing is ever truly fixed. Consider this simple example. Imagine walking through a foggy forest. You cannot see what's ahead, but with each step, you move forward. You might be unsure, but you are still moving. The fog doesn't stop you from walking, but it forces you to trust the path beneath your feet. This is what life feels like when we confront uncertainty. Foggy, unclear, but full of potential with each step we take. In Buddhism, the nature of uncertainty is embraced, not feared. The teachings tell us that life is in constant flux. Everything changes, whether we want it to or not. The problem comes when we try to hold on to the idea that we can control everything, that we can somehow predict the future or avoid all challenges. We get stuck in the illusion that if we just plan enough, worry enough, or prepare enough, we can avoid the discomfort of not knowing what's coming. But this is a misunderstanding of how life works. Uncertainty is not our enemy. It is the very essence of existence. Nothing in this world is permanent, and that includes the worries about the future. Just as clouds pass in the sky, so too will your worries pass if you let them. Clinging to the belief that you must know everything in advance only ties you to an illusion of control. What's more, this attachment to certainty makes it harder to experience the beauty of life as it unfolds naturally. The Buddha once said, "The past is already gone, the future is not yet here, and the present is a gift." This simple statement reminds us that the only time we truly have is now. When we fixate on an uncertain future, we miss the richness of the present moment, which is where all real experiences unfold. If you spend too much time worrying about what might happen, you lose the ability to appreciate what is happening right now. Life happens now, not tomorrow or next week. The present moment is the only thing you can touch, see, or feel. Everything else exists only as a thought in your mind. Understanding that uncertainty is a part of life brings peace, not fear. It teaches us that we don't have to know everything. We don't have to have all the answers. We don't have to predict every event, because life is full of unknowns, and that's okay. What we need to focus on is how we respond to these unknowns. When we let go of the need for certainty, we make space for something more profound. trust in the unfolding of life itself. The Buddhist teachings guide us towards a deeper understanding of uncertainty. He didn't ask us to deny the reality of change and uncertainty. Rather, he encouraged us to embrace it. When you stop fighting the unknown, you start to find peace in the present. This peace doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from accepting that you don't have to know everything. Imagine you are standing in a river. The water flows past you, fast and unyielding. If you try to hold the water, it slips through your fingers. But if you let go and allow the river to carry you, you move with the flow rather than against it. Life's uncertainties are like this river. When we try to control or resist them, we struggle. But when we let go, when we trust the flow, life takes us where we need to go. The illusion of control leads us to suffer. This desire to control the future, to make sure that everything turns out exactly as we expect, often results in fear and anxiety. Why? Because the future is unknown. It is inherently unpredictable. If you expect life to always go your way, every twist and turn that doesn't align with your plan can make you feel like you've lost your way. But if you accept that things will not always go as planned, that some moments will be challenging and some will be surprising, you can navigate life with greater ease. Buddhism teaches us to be mindful of our thoughts, especially those that are based on fear of the unknown. The mind is a powerful tool, but when it is filled with fear of what might come, it clouds our judgment and fills us with anxiety. Instead, we are encouraged to practice mindfulness, to focus on the present moment, to breathe, and to see things as they truly are. This practice doesn't remove uncertainty, but it helps us handle it with grace and peace. Think about the way you breathe. When you are stressed or worried, your breath often becomes shallow and quick. But when you take deep, slow breaths, you feel more grounded, more centered. This simple act of breathing is a reminder that we always have control over how we respond to life. Just as you can choose to breathe deeply, you can choose how to approach uncertainty. The breath is a symbol of life itself. It flows, it moves, and it adapts. And just like your breath, you can learn to adapt to the uncertainties around you. Living with uncertainty is not about surrendering to chaos. It's about surrendering the need for constant control. When you allow yourself to live without the need to know everything, you open yourself to new possibilities. You free yourself from the burden of perfection and start to live more fully. You realize that not knowing the future is not something to fear, but something to celebrate. Each moment of uncertainty is an opportunity for growth, for learning, for connection with the world as it truly is. The future is like a blank canvas. You cannot predict the exact picture it will create, but you can choose the colors and brushstrokes you use. Just as a painter doesn't know exactly how the painting will look until it is completed, you don't need to know every step of the journey. What's important is that you show up, trust in the process, and embrace the unpredictability of life. In the end, uncertainty is not something to be afraid of. It is an invitation to trust the journey. It is a reminder that life is not meant to be controlled, but experienced. When you let go of the need to control every detail, you make space for something more beautiful. The freedom to live fully, to embrace the unknown, and to trust that everything will unfold just as it should. How Buddhism teaches us to embrace the present. In the stillness of a quiet morning, when the world seems to pause and breathe, there is a lesson we can learn about the present moment. It is simple, yet profound. The present is the only moment we truly have, yet how often do we forget this truth? We are so consumed by thoughts of the past and the future that we miss the beauty of right now. Buddhism, at its core, invites us to let go of these distractions and return to the present. What does it mean to truly embrace the present moment? It means understanding that right now is all we can control. The future is unknown, and the past is gone. What remains is the breath we take in this very moment, the sensations of our body, and the thoughts that arise. To embrace the present is to be fully alive in this moment, not lost in what has been or what will be. The Buddha, in his teachings, spoke often of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present, aware of each moment as it arises without judgment or attachment. It is about being conscious of what is happening in and around us without getting caught in the stories our minds like to tell. When we are mindful, we can truly experience life as it is, with clarity and openness. Imagine you are sitting by a flowing river. The water moves freely, without resistance, without clinging. It simply flows. This is how we can learn to be like the river. We flow with life, experiencing each moment as it comes without holding on to any one moment too tightly. If we try to control the flow of the river, it will only bring frustration. But when we allow it to flow naturally, we find peace. Buddhism teaches us that attachment to the past and future creates suffering. The more we hold on to what has already passed, the more we prevent ourselves from fully living in the present. Similarly, when we worry too much about the future, we become anxious and restless. Both the past and future are illusions. Only the present is real. By letting go of our attachment to time, we free ourselves from unnecessary suffering. This doesn't mean we ignore the past or future. It means we stop letting them dictate our peace. The past has lessons, but it is not our present reality. The future may hold possibilities, but it is not our current experience. When we bring our attention to the present, we can appreciate what we have now and act with wisdom and clarity. Consider the simple act of eating a meal. How often do we eat while distracted by our phones or thoughts? We rush through it, barely tasting the food or noticing the colors on our plate. But when we eat mindfully, we engage all our senses. We savor the flavors, appreciate the textures, and feel gratitude for the nourishment. Eating becomes more than just a necessity. It becomes an experience of the present moment. Mindfulness can be practiced in everything we do, from the smallest actions to the most significant ones. When we wash dishes, we can focus on the feel of the water, the weight of the plates, and the sounds of the soap. When we talk to someone, we can listen deeply, without judgment, and without thinking about what we'll say next. This presence in every action is what connects us to the world around us. The beauty of embracing the present is that it transforms our daily life. Instead of living in our heads, planning, worrying, or reflecting on what's past, we live with intention and awareness. This makes even the most mundane tasks feel meaningful. It brings us closer to the truth that life is not about the future or the past. It is about being here, now, with full attention. Buddhism also teaches us about impermanence. Nothing stays the same forever. This constant change is part of life, and when we resist it, we suffer. But when we embrace impermanence, we learn to accept life as it comes. The seasons change, people come and go, and situations shift. Everything is in a constant state of flux. When we accept this truth, we stop fighting against the natural flow of life and instead flow with it. In the present moment, we can let go of the need to control everything. Control is an illusion. The more we try to control the future or hold on to the past, the more we feel trapped. The moment we let go of control and accept things as they are, we experience freedom. This freedom is found in the simplicity of the present moment, where we are free from the weight of our expectations and the burden of our fears. When we are fully present, we can also cultivate deeper relationships. We listen more attentively to others, we respond more thoughtfully, and we engage with others from a place of true connection. The more we practice being present with others, the more we realize that relationships are not about what we want or what we expect. They are about being with another person in the moment, without distractions, without the need to change them. Buddhism also teaches us the importance of self-compassion. Often, we are too hard on ourselves, worried about what we have done in the past or what we might do in the future. But when we are present, we can be kind to ourselves. We can recognize that we are doing the best we can in this moment and that it is enough. We don't need to be perfect, we just need to be present. The practice of being present is not a one-time event. It is something we cultivate daily. It's like planting a seed and nurturing it until it grows into a beautiful tree. Each time we return to the present moment, we strengthen our mindfulness. Each time we let go of worries about the future or regrets about the past, we are building a foundation of peace and wisdom. This is the heart of Buddhist practice. To be present, to let go of attachment, and to flow with life. When we live this way, we stop carrying the heavy burden of worry. We stop clinging to the future and the past. We stop fighting against life and start embracing it with all its beauty and uncertainty. So, take a deep breath and let go of the weight you've been carrying. Let go of the need to control the future. Let go of the attachment to the past. And simply be here, now, The present is all you truly need. Breaking free from the illusion of control. Life is like a river. The water flows, twists, and turns in ways we cannot predict. But we often try to control its flow, thinking that we can steer it to our exact desires. The more we try to grip the current, the harder it becomes to stay afloat. Why? Because the illusion of control is exactly that, an illusion. The truth is, we can never control everything, but we can control how we respond to life's unfolding. Imagine trying to control the wind. You might spend hours waving your hands, trying to make it blow in the direction you want. But the wind will do what it does, no matter how much you struggle. This is how life is, unpredictable, always changing, and never something we can hold on to for long. The more we fight this truth, the more we suffer. The moment we accept the flow of life as it comes, we begin to release the tight grip we have on the idea that we need control. When we are caught in the illusion of control, we expect life to meet our desires exactly. We create a mental map of how things should unfold, and we feel disheartened when reality doesn't match our vision. This is where anxiety takes root. The belief that we can force life to fit our plan creates frustration and fear of what might go wrong. But this mental struggle can be avoided by learning to trust the process of life, even when it seems unpredictable. Buddhism teaches us that attachment to outcomes is the cause of much suffering. We attach ourselves to the idea of how things should be. This creates tension between our desires and the reality of what is. The Buddha's wisdom shows us that peace arises when we stop fighting the present moment. Instead of holding tightly to the future, we can trust that everything will unfold in its own time. The world doesn't need to be controlled. It simply needs to be observed with openness and acceptance. Think about the seasons. We don't ask the seasons to change or fight them when they do. We accept the flow of nature. Winter comes, spring follows, and then summer. Each season has its time and place. Life, too, moves in cycles, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, sometimes with storms, other times with sunshine. Trying to force things to happen outside of their natural rhythm only causes stress. Learning to accept life as it is, without resistance, brings freedom. In this context, breaking free from the illusion of control means trusting the natural order of things. It doesn't mean giving up responsibility or not trying to better ourselves. It means letting go of the need to have every detail of life figured out. It means surrendering the need for certainty. When you stop clinging to what you can't control, you make space for peace. You make room for what is truly important, being present in each moment, accepting things as they are, and responding to life with calmness rather than fear. Our fears often come from the belief that if we don't control everything, something bad will happen. We fear that if we let go, we might fail, or things might fall apart. But fear, like worry, is rooted in uncertainty. When we face the truth that we can't control life, we realize that we don't need to be afraid of the unknown. The unknown is just another part of life's natural flow. There's nothing to fear when we embrace the present moment fully. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is to be mindful. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully aware of the present, without clinging to the past or the future. When we are mindful, we let go of the illusion that we can control every aspect of our lives. We learn to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, seeing them as fleeting and impermanent. This simple act of awareness allows us to break free from the need to control everything around us. Instead of being attached to outcomes, we can learn to trust that whatever happens, we will be okay. Breaking free from control doesn't mean abandoning our goals or dreams. It doesn't mean we should stop making plans or working hard. It means we stop obsessing over them. We set our intentions and take steps toward our goals, but we don't tie our happiness or peace to a specific outcome. Life will unfold in ways we cannot predict, and that's okay. When we stop forcing outcomes, we open ourselves to opportunities we might have missed by sticking too rigidly to our plans. Consider this. The more we try to control, the more we become stressed and exhausted. The tighter we hold on to our expectations, the more likely we are to feel overwhelmed by life. But when we loosen our grip and let things unfold naturally, we create space for new possibilities. It's like planting a seed in the ground. You water it, you care for it, and then you let it grow. You don't force it to grow faster, nor do you stand over it, telling it how to grow. You trust that with time and care, it will blossom. The same goes for life. We do what we can, and then we let go of the need to control the outcome. In the end, breaking free from the illusion of control is about surrender. It's not a surrender of weakness, but a surrender of strength. The strength to accept life as it comes, to trust the process, and to find peace in the present. It's about letting go of fear and anxiety, which are fueled by the illusion that we can control everything. When we release the need to control, we begin to flow with life instead of fighting against it. To practice this in your own life, start by noticing when you try to control things. When you feel anxious or fearful, pause and ask yourself, am I trying to control something I can't? If the answer is yes, gently remind yourself to let go. Remember, the future is like the river. It will take you where you need to go. You don't need to control the current to get to your destination. Just trust, let go, and enjoy the journey. This is the wisdom of breaking free from the illusion of control. It's simple, yet profound. When you stop forcing, you start flowing. Life isn't something to be tamed. It's something to be lived. And when you live without the need for control, you'll find that peace, happiness, and contentment come naturally, just as they are meant to. The role of mindfulness in reducing anxiety. In life, it's so easy to get lost in the chaos of the future, the past, or even the busy demands of our daily routine. Have you ever caught yourself rushing through a task, thinking about what's next, or stressing about something that hasn't even happened? In those moments, anxiety grows because we stop being present. We stop truly experiencing the here and now. But what if you could slow down, take a breath, and find peace in the present moment? This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention, on purpose, to the present moment without judgment. It means observing your thoughts, feelings, and sensations as they come, without clinging to them or pushing them away. Just noticing. Imagine sitting quietly, taking a deep breath, and focusing on the sensation of the air moving in and out of your body. The only thing that matters in that moment is your breath. You're not thinking about the future, the past, or anything outside that simple act of breathing. This practice of mindfulness allows you to see the truth of what's around you and within you. You realize that your worries, your anxieties, are just thoughts, temporary and often exaggerated. In Buddhism, mindfulness is considered a powerful tool to transform suffering. The Buddha taught that by paying attention to the present, we can reduce the anxiety that stems from our attachments to the past and the future. When we live in the moment, we stop carrying the weight of what might be and start experiencing what truly is. The beauty of mindfulness is that it brings us into alignment with the present reality, which is often much more peaceful than the stories we create in our minds about the future. Let's say you're facing a difficult situation, perhaps a decision that seems overwhelming. The natural reaction might be to spiral into worry. What if I make the wrong choice? What will happen if this goes badly? These thoughts pull you away from the present moment and flood you with anxiety. But with mindfulness, you can step back and observe those thoughts as they arise. Instead of getting caught in them, you can acknowledge them without letting them control you. I'm feeling anxious right now, you might say to yourself, but that's okay. I can breathe and be with this feeling without needing to act on it. When we are mindful, we stop trying to control everything. Instead, we accept that we can only control our actions and reactions in the present moment. The future, with all its uncertainty, is not something we need to predict or control. We just need to do our best, right now, and trust that things will unfold as they should. Mindfulness doesn't require a special setting or a lot of time. You can practice it anytime, anywhere. Whether you're walking, eating, or simply sitting still, you can bring your full awareness to the present moment. This doesn't mean you should ignore your future plans or responsibilities. It simply means you don't need to let them consume you. You can focus on the task at hand, do it with your full attention, and let the rest of the world fade into the background for a while. One of the key elements of mindfulness is being kind to yourself. It's easy to judge ourselves when we feel anxious about the future. We might think, I should be stronger than this, or I shouldn't feel this way. But mindfulness teaches us that it's okay to feel anxious, just as it's okay to feel anything else. Emotions are natural. What matters is how we relate to them. When we approach our feelings with kindness and acceptance, we can let them pass more easily. rather than holding on to them and letting them grow into bigger worries. Buddhism encourages us to embrace impermanence, the understanding that everything is constantly changing. This includes our thoughts and emotions. The anxiety you feel today may not be there tomorrow. Just as the weather changes, so do our mental states. Mindfulness helps us to see that nothing, not even our most troubling thoughts, lasts forever. When you accept the impermanent nature of your feelings, they lose their power over you. You begin to understand that your anxiety is just a momentary experience that will soon fade, just like all things. By practicing mindfulness, you also learn to detach from the constant need for validation. When we worry about the future, we often look for reassurance or approval from others. We might want others to tell us that everything will be okay, or to confirm our fears are justified. Mindfulness teaches us to turn inward for that reassurance. Instead of seeking answers from others, we look to our own experience and trust that we have the wisdom to handle whatever comes our way. In Buddhism, this inward trust is deeply rooted in the understanding of our true nature. We are reminded that, at our core, we are whole and complete. Anxiety often arises from the belief that we are lacking something, perhaps control, safety, or success. But mindfulness reveals that we don't need to seek these things outside of ourselves. They are already within us. We just need to quiet the mind, tune into the present, and listen to the wisdom that is already there. Mindfulness also allows us to see the interconnectedness of all things. When we worry about the future, we tend to focus on ourselves, our desires, and our fears. But in the practice of mindfulness, we become more aware of how everything is connected. We realize that our actions, thoughts, and emotions affect not only ourselves but also those around us in the world at large. This understanding can help reduce our anxiety because we see that the future is not something that happens to us alone. It is a result of countless factors, including our choices in the present. There's a beautiful Buddhist practice called sitting with discomfort. This is when you allow yourself to feel the discomfort of anxiety or worry without running away from it. You don't need to push it aside or try to fix it. Instead, you sit with it. You breathe with it. Over time, you realize that your discomfort doesn't define you. It's simply a passing moment. This practice of sitting with discomfort can be transformative because it teaches us to accept all aspects of our experience, not just the comfortable ones. As we move through life, mindfulness helps us to see the richness in the present moment. Even in the midst of uncertainty, we can find peace. When we stop clinging to what we think the future should be, we open ourselves to the beauty of what's unfolding right now. We begin to see that every moment holds potential, and that's something worth celebrating. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed by worry about the future, try to pause and breathe. Bring your awareness to the present. Remind yourself that you are here, right now, and that's all that truly matters. With mindfulness, you can navigate life's uncertainties with grace and ease. You don't need to worry about the future. It will take care of itself, just as long as you focus on the present. Practicing acceptance and letting go. Imagine standing on the edge of a calm river. The water flows gently, carrying with it everything in its path. Leaves, branches, and even small pebbles. The river doesn't try to control what it carries. It simply lets go, allowing things to pass with the current. This is the essence of acceptance and letting go. In our lives, too, we must learn to flow with life's currents, accepting what comes and letting go of what no longer serves us. Acceptance does not mean giving up or resigning ourselves to fate. It's not about surrendering to difficulties or abandoning hope. Rather, it's about acknowledging what is, without judgment or resistance. Acceptance is the key that unlocks peace, as it allows us to embrace life as it is, rather than constantly struggling against it. When we resist life, we only create more suffering. Think about a time when you were stuck in traffic, frustrated by the delay. The more you resisted the situation, the more tense and unhappy you became. Now, imagine if you had simply accepted the traffic for what it was, without the frustration. The experience would have been much more peaceful. Buddhism teaches that attachment to things, people, and outcomes creates suffering. When we hold on to expectations about how life should unfold, we are setting ourselves up for disappointment. The more tightly we grip our desires, the more pain we experience when they are not met. But if we practice acceptance, we can loosen our grip and allow life to unfold in its own way. Acceptance is not passive. It's an active process of letting go of the need to control everything. It's about trusting the journey and knowing that, even if things don't go as planned, we are still on the right path. This trust in life allows us to flow with the river, rather than fight against it. Letting go is a deeply spiritual practice. It requires us to release our attachments, not only to material things but also to our ideas, beliefs, and even our sense of self. We often identify with our thoughts and feelings, but these are temporary and constantly changing. When we hold on to them too tightly, we are clinging to something that is not real. In Buddhism, this is known as the concept of anatta, or the absence of a permanent self. Letting go of the self doesn't mean losing who you are. It means freeing yourself from the limitations that you've placed on yourself. It's about letting go of the need for approval, the fear of failure, and the attachment to outcomes. When you let go of these things, you are no longer bound by them. You are free to live in the present moment, fully alive and aware of the world around you. The practice of letting go can be done in small steps. You don't have to let go of everything all at once. Start by observing your thoughts and noticing when you are holding on to something. Maybe it's a worry about the future or a regret about the past. Simply acknowledge it and then let it go. You don't have to analyze or fix it. Just release it and return to the present moment. A simple way to practice letting go is through meditation. Sit quietly and focus on your breath. As thoughts arise, simply notice them without judgment and let them pass like clouds in the sky. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to let go of distractions and return to the stillness of the present moment. In our daily lives, letting go can also mean releasing our expectations of others. We often expect people to behave in certain ways, and when they don't meet our expectations, we feel disappointed or frustrated. But when we let go of these expectations, we free ourselves from the need to control others. We can accept them as they are, without trying to change them. Letting go is not about being passive or indifferent. It's about finding peace in the face of life's challenges. When you let go of your need for control, you create space for peace and contentment to enter your life. One of the most powerful ways to practice letting go is by embracing the idea of impermanence. In Buddhism, anicca refers to the impermanence of all things. Everything is in constant flux, and nothing lasts forever. When we understand that change is a natural part of life, we can let go of our attachment to things and experiences that are temporary. When you experience a difficult moment, remember that it will not last forever. The feelings you are experiencing now, whether they are sadness, anger, or fear, are just passing states. Like clouds in the sky, they will eventually move on. By accepting the impermanence of all things, we learn to let go and allow ourselves to move forward without clinging to the past. Letting go also means accepting that we cannot change everything. We cannot control the actions of others, the circumstances of our lives, or the challenges we face. But we can control how we respond to them. By practicing acceptance, we allow ourselves to respond with equanimity, without being thrown off balance by life's ups and downs. When we let go of the need to control, we create room for the unknown to enter our lives. Often, it is the unexpected moments that bring the greatest growth and joy. By releasing our attachments and expectations, we open ourselves to the infinite possibilities that life has to offer. In relationships, letting go means allowing others to be themselves without imposing our own desires and expectations on them. When we let go of the need to change others, we create space for deeper connection and understanding. We can love others for who they are, rather than who we want them to be. Acceptance is also about letting go of the need for perfection. In our modern world, we are constantly striving to be better, do more, and achieve more. But perfection is an illusion. Nothing in life is perfect, and the pursuit of perfection often leads to frustration and burnout. By accepting ourselves as we are, with all our flaws and imperfections, we can find peace in the present moment. Letting go is a practice of surrender. It's about surrendering to life's flow, trusting that everything is unfolding as it should, even if we can't see the bigger picture. When we let go, we stop resisting life's challenges and start embracing them as opportunities for growth. Through acceptance and letting go, we become more at peace with ourselves and the world around us. We stop fighting against the current of life and instead, we allow ourselves to be carried by it. This doesn't mean giving up. It means surrendering to the wisdom of the universe and trusting that, in time, everything will fall into place. So, next time you feel the weight of resistance or the urge to control, remember the river. Let it remind you that life flows best when we allow it to move freely without holding on to the things we cannot change. By practicing acceptance and letting go, you open yourself to the peace and freedom that comes with truly living in the present moment. Transforming fear into confidence through wisdom. Fear is a shadow that follows us everywhere. It comes from our mind, shaping our thoughts, our actions, and even our perceptions of the world. In the face of the unknown, it makes us hesitate, shrink, and sometimes even avoid taking the first step. But fear, in itself, is not something to be afraid of. It is simply a signal, a moment in time asking us to stop and reconsider our path. The question is, how can we transform that fear into something that works for us instead of against us? Buddhism teaches us a simple truth. Fear is born from ignorance. We fear what we do not understand. The future, with all its uncertainties, is unknown to us, so we fill it with projections of what might go wrong. But when we stop and observe these thoughts, we begin to see them for what they are, just thoughts. Then thoughts are not reality. They are mere waves passing through the ocean of our mind. To transform fear into confidence, we must first recognize that fear is just a mental construct. It has no physical substance, no real power unless we give it power. Imagine standing in front of a vast ocean. The waves might crash and stir, but if you stand firm and steady, the water will not harm you. Fear is like those waves. It may rise up, it may seem overwhelming, but if you stay grounded in the present moment, it cannot drown you. The first step in turning fear into confidence is to embrace it, not fight it. When we feel afraid, our natural instinct is often to resist, to push the feeling away. We try to distract ourselves or numb the discomfort. But Buddhist wisdom teaches us that resisting fear only strengthens it. Fear is a part of our experience, and by accepting it, we begin to understand it. When fear arises, rather than running from it, take a moment to breathe deeply. Sit with it. Ask yourself, what is this fear trying to tell me? Often, you will find that the fear is not about the future at all, but about how you perceive yourself. It is not about the outcome, but about your belief in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Confidence is not about having all the answers or being certain of the future. Confidence is the inner trust that, whatever happens, you will be okay. It is the belief that you are enough, no matter what unfolds. In Buddhism, this trust is known as sadhana, the practice of having faith in yourself and in the process of life. When you trust that the universe is unfolding exactly as it should, you can let go of fear. Fear often holds us back because it tricks us into thinking we are not capable. It whispers, "What if you fail?" Or, "What if you make a mistake?" But the truth is, failure is not the enemy. In fact, failure is a teacher, showing us where we need to grow, where we need to learn, and how we can improve. By viewing failure as a stepping stone, rather than a setback, we free ourselves from the grip of fear. One of the most powerful teachings of Buddhism is the concept of no self, or anatta. This teaching helps us understand that we are not fixed or permanent beings. We are always changing, always evolving. Our fear comes from our attachment to who we think we are or who we want to be. But when we let go of these attachments, we can flow with life's natural rhythms, trusting that change is the very nature of existence. Confidence arises when we embrace impermanence. The moment you accept that things will change, your thoughts, your circumstances, your challenges, you begin to see that fear cannot hold you. In fact, change becomes something to welcome, not fear. With each new moment, you are offered a chance to grow, to learn, and to become a deeper version of yourself. The next time fear arises, ask yourself, what would it look like if I approached this moment with trust? Trust that even if things do not go as planned, you are capable of navigating the situation with wisdom. Confidence is not a lack of fear. It is the ability to move forward despite it. And with each step you take, fear will begin to lose its grip. Buddhism offers us a simple practice to help with this transformation: mindfulness. Mindfulness allows us to step outside the cycle of fear and anxiety. It brings us into the present moment, where fear cannot exist. Fear lives in the past and the future, but in the present, we are safe. By focusing on what is here, right now, we disconnect from the imagined scenarios of what might happen. Take a deep breath. Inhale deeply, filling your lungs with air. Exhale slowly, releasing all tension. This simple practice can immediately shift your perspective. You begin to see that you are more than your fears. You are more than your doubts. You are the awareness observing them. And from this place of awareness, you can choose how to respond. Confidence also comes from seeing fear as a part of the whole. In Buddhism, we understand that everything is interconnected. Our fear, our doubts, and our joys are all part of the same experience. When we accept the full spectrum of our emotions, we stop fighting them. We learn to integrate them into our lives, seeing them not as obstacles, but as teachers. Over time, as you practice mindfulness and acceptance, you will notice that fear becomes less overwhelming. It no longer controls you. Instead, you become the master of your thoughts and emotions. And with that mastery, confidence naturally arises. You will no longer be paralyzed by fear, but instead, you will meet it with calm assurance, knowing that whatever happens, you are ready. Remember, confidence is not something that is given to you. It is something you cultivate within yourself. It comes from facing your fears, from understanding them, and from trusting that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. And with each moment of fear you transform, your confidence will grow, leading you to a life where you move forward with wisdom and peace. In the end, confidence is about the way you view yourself and the world around you. It's not about being fearless, but about being fearless in the face of fear. And when you learn to transform your fear into confidence through wisdom, you begin to walk a path of true inner strength. The more you practice, the more you will realize that fear is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. The power of karma, shaping your path mindfully. In life, we often wonder why things happen the way they do. Why do some people seem to have everything they want, while others struggle to make ends meet? The answer lies in a simple yet profound teaching, karma. But what exactly is karma? And how does it shape our path in life? Karma, in its most basic form, means action. The choices we make, the thoughts we have, and the way we behave. It is the law of cause and effect. Every action we take, whether big or small, creates ripples that affect our present and future. If we act with kindness, we sow the seeds for peace and happiness. But if we act with anger or jealousy, we invite suffering into our lives. It's not about punishment or reward, but about understanding the natural consequences of our actions. Imagine you're planting a garden. Every seed you plant represents a choice, a thought, or an action. If you plant seeds of kindness, compassion, and honesty, you'll eventually see flowers of peace and harmony grow in your life. If you plant seeds of anger, fear, or greed, you might see weeds that make your path difficult and painful. But here's the key. Just as you have the power to plant seeds, you also have the power to choose what you sow. Karma is not a force beyond your control. It's the energy you create through your own actions. This is where mindfulness plays an essential role. When you become mindful of your thoughts, words, and actions, you begin to realize that you are the one shaping your life. You can choose to respond with patience instead of anger, with compassion instead of judgment. This mindful approach allows you to create positive karma, which in turn creates a future filled with peace and joy. Buddhism teaches that we are the creators of our own destiny. The present moment is the only time we truly have control over. The past is gone, and the future is unknown. But in this moment, we can choose to act with kindness, to choose to think with love, to choose to live with wisdom. This is where true freedom lies. Not in worrying about what might happen, but in making choices that align with our highest good. Let's reflect on a simple example. A person is upset because someone wronged them. They could hold on to that anger, allowing it to fester and grow, which only harms themselves in the end. Or they could choose to let go of the anger, understanding that the person who wronged them is also struggling with their own pain. By choosing to release the anger, they free themselves from the grip of negative emotions, allowing peace to flow into their heart. This is a moment of mindful karma, choosing peace over suffering, compassion over resentment. In the same way, every small act of kindness you offer, every gentle word you speak, and every thoughtful action you take creates a ripple in the universe. Over time, these ripples grow into waves of positive energy that shape your life. The more mindful you are of the energy you put into the world, the more you can shape a future that reflects your highest values and aspirations. But there's something important to remember. Karma is not always immediate. You may plant the seed of kindness today, and the flower may not bloom for many years. But that doesn't mean your actions are in vain. The universe has its own timing, and what you send out into the world will return to you, even if it takes time. Just as a tree doesn't grow overnight, the effects of your good karma may take time to show themselves, but they will show up when the time is right. One of the most powerful aspects of karma is that it doesn't just affect your own life. It affects the lives of those around you. When you act with compassion, you inspire others to do the same. When you choose to forgive, you create space for others to heal. In this way, the positive energy you create ripples out into the world, touching the lives of many. Let's also consider the role of intentions in karma. While actions are important, the intention behind those actions is just as crucial. You might do something kind, but if your intention is to gain something in return, then the energy behind that action is not pure. True karma is born from selfless love, from actions that are done without expectation of reward. When your actions are driven by genuine care for others, the karma you create is powerful and transformative. In this way, every moment offers you the opportunity to choose your path. Whether you are working, interacting with others, or even just thinking to yourself, you are creating karma. The more mindful you are, the more conscious your actions become, and the more powerful your ability to shape your destiny. The beautiful thing about karma is that it is always in your hands. You don't have to wait for the universe to give you permission to act in a way that brings about positive change. Every moment is an opportunity to create good karma. And with every good choice you make, you are not only improving your own life, but you are also contributing to the well-being of the world around you. At its core, karma is a reminder that we are all connected. The energy we send out into the world returns to us in unexpected ways. When we act with love, compassion, and wisdom, we help to create a world that is more peaceful, more harmonious, and more just. So, next time you face a decision, no matter how small, remember the power of your actions. Choose kindness, choose mindfulness, and choose love. These simple choices will create the karma that shapes your life and the lives of those around you. The future is not something to worry about. It is something you create, one mindful action at a time. The impermanence of worry, trusting the flow of life. In life, everything is always changing. You cannot step into the same river twice, they say. The water flows, changes, and moves forward. Just like the river, your worries flow and change too. The very thing you fear today might seem small tomorrow, but how often do we hold on to that fear, believing it's permanent, even though nothing is ever permanent? The truth about worry is that it is born from a belief in permanence. We think that the challenges we face now will always be there, that the difficulties of today will stretch endlessly into tomorrow. But life is never still. Like the seasons, everything moves, shifts, and eventually passes. So why should we hold on to worries that are as fleeting as a passing cloud? One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the idea of impermanence, anicca. This principle teaches us that everything is in constant change. The good, the bad, the joyful, the painful, all of it comes and goes. Worries are not exempt from this natural law. The moment we realize that nothing lasts forever, we start to understand that our worries, too, will fade away, just like everything else. Consider this. You're standing at the edge of a vast ocean. The waves come and go, sometimes gently, sometimes crashing hard. If you stand there, focusing on the waves that seem so forceful, it's easy to feel like the ocean is overwhelming. But if you step back, you see that the waves, no matter how strong, always return to the calmness of the sea. The same goes for worries. No matter how big they seem in the moment, they too will dissolve back into the peacefulness of the present. Why do we resist this flow of life so much? Why do we cling to our worries as though they will protect us? Maybe it's because we fear what comes after the storm. But the storm is never forever. After every storm, the sky clears, and a new day begins. This is the dance of life, change, growth, and transformation. Worry tries to keep us stuck in one place, fearing the unknown, but the unknown is always part of the journey. Think about the things you were once worried about. How many of them still have power over you today? Most of them, I'm sure, have lost their grip. The problems of yesterday are no longer the problems of today. Yet, if you were to hold on to them, they would continue to affect you, even though they have long passed. This is the trap of worry. We drag the past into the present, and in doing so, we prevent ourselves from experiencing the peace of now. When we practice mindfulness, we allow ourselves to see the impermanence of all things, including our fears. By focusing on the present moment, we loosen our attachment to the future and the past. We let go of the need to control what's coming. Instead, we trust the flow of life, understanding that just as the tides rise and fall, so too will our worries. A simple but powerful practice in Buddhism is to observe your thoughts without attachment. You do not need to identify with every worry that crosses your mind. You are not your worries. You are the observer. When you see a worry coming, don't judge it. Simply observe it as it arises, and then watch it fade away, just like a cloud passing in the sky. The more you practice this, the more you will realize that no worry lasts forever. They come and go, just like everything else. The key is to trust the flow of life. Even when things seem uncertain, life doesn't require you to have all the answers or to know what comes next. It only asks you to trust, to surrender to the present moment. When you let go of the need to control, you open yourself up to the natural flow of things. Worries become less powerful when you stop fighting them, when you allow them to come and go without giving them too much attention. In the Buddhist teachings, there is a powerful reminder. When we let go of what we fear, we make space for peace. The more you release your attachment to what might happen in the future, the more room you create for tranquility right now. Every moment of your life is a chance to embrace the present, to release your worries, and to trust the unfolding of the universe. As you journey through life, remember that each worry is like a passing wave. It will come, it will rise, and then it will fall. The more you trust in the ebb and flow of life, the more you will experience the peace that comes with letting go. In the end, the river of life will carry you where you need to go. All you need to do is trust that the current will take you to the right place. Buddhism teaches us that peace isn't found by avoiding challenges or trying to control every detail. It's found in embracing the moment, trusting the process, and accepting the impermanence of everything, our joys, our fears, and our worries. By doing so, you unlock a life of inner calm, free from the weight of a future that has not yet come. So, the next time you find yourself worrying, remember, this too shall pass. The future you fear is not the future you will experience. Life is constantly changing, and with each change, you have the opportunity to grow and find peace. Trust in the flow of life, and you will see that all your worries will fade away, just like everything else. A future of peace, applying Buddhist teachings daily. Sit down, my friend. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath in. Feel it fill your chest, then let it go slowly. Do you notice how, for that brief moment, you were fully here? Not in the future, not in the past, but right now. That, my dear one, is where your peace lives. Not in chasing what's ahead, not in regretting what's behind, but in this single breath. The future, as we imagine it, is nothing but a shadow. It hasn't come yet, and yet, we spend so much time shaping it, worrying about it, trying to control it. We forget that the best way to build a peaceful future is to plant the seeds of peace today. What seeds will you plant? Buddha taught us that the mind is like a garden. If you plant seeds of fear, doubt, and anxiety, those are the plants that will grow. But if you sow seeds of love, compassion, and mindfulness, your garden will bloom with beauty. The future you worry about is nothing more than the harvest of the seeds you plant now. Imagine waking up every morning and asking yourself, what kind of seeds will I plant today? Will you plant the seeds of kindness in your words, patience in your actions, and gratitude in your heart? These small choices will shape your future far more than the hours you spend worrying. Each day, when you wake, set your intention. A Zen master once said, when you walk, walk. When you eat, eat. When you work, work. This is the simplest, yet most profound, advice for living without worry. Whatever you are doing, do only that. Be fully present. When you are fully present, worry has no space to grow. Think about how often your mind runs ahead. When you're eating, you're thinking about work. When you're working, you're thinking about tomorrow. And when tomorrow comes, you're already thinking about next week. Stop. Just stop. Bring yourself back. Touch the ground beneath your feet. Look at the sky. Feel the air. This is life. Buddhism doesn't promise that challenges will disappear. Life will still bring storms, my friend. But the teachings show you how to build a strong boat. You don't need to fight the waves. You learn to ride them. Trust that every storm will pass, and every dark cloud will eventually make way for the sun. Do not waste your precious time worrying about what you cannot control. The rains will come when they come. The winds will blow as they please. But your heart can remain steady if you learn to trust the rhythm of life. Now, let us talk about action. Worry often comes when we feel helpless, doesn't it? So act. Do what you can today. If you worry about your health, take a walk, eat mindfully. If you worry about money, save a little each day, no matter how small. These small steps today will create a brighter tomorrow. And yet, remember this truth. Even when you have done everything possible, let go. Life will unfold as it must. The sun does not rush to rise. The flowers do not hurry to bloom. Why should you rush or worry? Trust that the universe has its timing, and you are exactly where you are meant to be. Let us reflect on gratitude. Often, our worry comes from focusing on what we lack. But look around you. There is so much to be thankful for. A warm bed to sleep in, a friend who listens, the simple joy of a meal. When you practice gratitude, the future feels less daunting because you realize how much beauty is already here. And finally, my dear one, remember this: you are not alone. Every being on this earth has moments of fear about what's ahead. But these fears lose their power when we connect with others, share kindness, and uplift one another. When you act with love, you build a future of peace not just for yourself, but for the world. Now, as we close this journey, I ask you, what can you do today to bring peace into your life? A single step forward, a single act of kindness, a single deep breath, that is all it takes to start. Before you leave, let me remind you of something important. This channel, Wisdom Woven, exists to guide you on this journey. But did you know? There are so many views here, and yet only 0.2% of you have subscribed. If you found even a small spark of wisdom today, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Help us grow this garden of knowledge so that more people can find peace. Your future, my friend, is not something to fear. It is something to walk into, step by step, with grace and trust. Thank you for being here. The path is always open to you. Walk it with courage, and you will find that peace is not far. It is already within you.